Okay, well, I don't want to take a lot of your time, but mostly I'll be talking about identity theft. Are you familiar with the topic at all, or do you know anyone who's been a victim? Okay. And well then yeah, I'll be really interested in seeing if someone like you would see value in this type of coverage or not. So give me your honest feedback. You won't hurt my feelings at all. But if our coverage does make sense for you and you want to become a customer, that's exactly or actually the best feedback I can get. So um, basically, identity theft is growing like a wildfire right now. It's getting to the point where it's inevitable your identity will be stolen if it's not protected. Similar to the way it's inevitable a PC will get a virus if it doesn't have virus protection. Our identities are suffering the same fate, so to speak, currently. In fact, there are over 40,000 identity theft victims every day in the United States. The FBI reports that it's now the fastest growing crime in America, and they attribute that to the fact that only 5% of identity thieves are actually caught and prosecuted, as opposed to something like bank robbery, where about 95% are caught and only 5% get away. So if you're a criminal choosing between identity theft and bank robbery, identity theft is going to be a safer choice if you want to make money and stay out of jail. And there's only one good thing about identity theft, and that's it only takes about 60 seconds to find out you're a victim. There's tons of products on the market that'll alert you if you do become a victim. So, of course, our plan does that as well. The first part of our coverage is actually a complete credit analysis of your credit report, which is going to detail what's hurting and what's helping your credit. And then there's the credit monitoring portion of the coverage, which is going to monitor your credit file 24/7, 365 days per year, and immediately email you when any changes appear on your credit file. It's kind of like a smoke alarm for your identity. Unfortunately, though, a smoke alarm isn't going to repair or restore the damage caused by the fire. It won't even put out the smoke. And when most people purchase credit monitoring, they think they're getting identity theft protection, and they're really just getting a smoke alarm, which means that if there is a fire or if they are a victim of identity theft, they'll have to do all the work themselves. Um, so basically, the main problem isn't finding out. That's the easy part. The problem and the grief suffering starts when there is a fire. Because, like I said, they would have to put it out themselves. On average, it takes about 600 hours to restore and repair your identity. And that's regardless of which type of identity theft you're a victim of. And I say that because most people believe identity theft is just a financial crime because that's what the media talks about the most. When really, financial identity theft only accounts for about 17% of all identity theft cases. So out of the 40,000 daily victims, less than 8,000 are victims of financial identity theft. There's actually five other major types that account for the other 83% or the other 32,000 daily victims. And instead of using a million words to explain each type of identity theft and how difficult they are to repair, I'm just going to play a few short videos. The first one is about Stancy Nesby. She's a victim of criminal identity theft, which is when someone steals your identity and commits a crime.
Every time Stancy Nesby looks in the rearview mirror, she can't help but wonder if she's about to be pulled over.
Everybody needs to put themselves in my shoes and know that this could happen to them.
A 30-year-old single mom with 4 kids who holds 2 jobs working as a nurse's assistant, life was hard enough before her problems with police.
It's made it really hard for me to smile and be the normal person that I felt like I was at first.
It started 4 years ago when Stancy was pulled over for speeding in the Bay Area. She admitted going too fast, but couldn't understand why she was being arrested.
I ended up going to jail that day. They didn't believe anything I was saying.
It turned out Stancy had a warrant for her arrest. The police databases showed she'd been busted for cocaine possession here in San Francisco's seedy Tenderloin district back in 1999, but that she never showed up for court appearances. Stancy had to spend 3 days in jail. The problem, she was innocent. Police later confirmed it when her fingerprints didn't match the real suspect who had used Stancy's name.
I've had nightmares about this.
She says police told her they'd fix the problem, but 2 months later, Stancy was arrested again, this time at her home in Berkeley. Once again, she says when the officers discovered the error, they told her they'd help her clear her name. But 3 months later, Stancy was arrested again in yet another jurisdiction. And it didn't end there. From 2002 to 2004, Stancy was arrested or detained 7 times by 5 police departments. In one instance, hauled off right in front of her children.
The kids were crying, and basically they ended up, throwing me on the ground and sticking their knees in my back.
Okay, and what I wanted you to notice there is that it didn't matter if her credit score was good or bad. Her financial status didn't matter at all. She still became a victim of identity theft, which made her life a nightmare because of how difficult and how long it takes to repair. The next type of identity theft is employment identity theft, which presents a similar type of problems. It's not with the police, but with the Social Security Administration and the IRS, which can be even worse.
Audra Schmierer has been a stay-at-home mom for 6 years. Now that her son's in school, she wants to return to work, so she applied to a temp agency.
They called me 3 or 4 hours later and said, Mr. Schmierer, I don't understand why you're applying. You already work here.
At a big tech company, a similar experience.
Here's my driver's license, my passport, my social security card. I gave him everything. And she said, well, really, how can you actually prove you're you? What if those people have the same documentation you do?
Schmierer has discovered more than 200 illegal aliens throughout the United States are doing jobs Americans supposedly won't do by using her social security number. They work in fast food chains, cosmetic companies, even receive dividends from Microsoft.
I started to gather all this information and really found out how extreme the situation was. It's scary.
Her ordeal began last year with a bill from the IRS for nearly $16,000 in back taxes for a job in Texas. She lives in Dublin, California.
My husband was actually quite upset. He asked me when I had ever been to Texas.
She tracked down the illegal alien whose phony tax return triggered the IRS bill. He told her he bought her social security number and a fake green card at this Texas flea market.
I don't understand how illegal aliens can come across here and commit a felony. Identity theft is a felony. And be excused from that felony to continue living their life when I cannot live my life.
By January, Schmierer faced a $1 million IRS bill. She was temporarily detained by Customs returning from a foreign business trip with her husband, and her Social Security account now shows a zero balance, erasing 14 years of work before her marriage.
Social Security right now sends me to IRS. IRS sends me to Social Security. Every now and then they'll send me to the FTC, whom I have a case with. No one wants to do anything about it. Right now, I have nowhere to go.
Schmierer spends several hours a day trying to clear her name. The IRS has canceled her bill, but Social Security won't give her a new number. She says all 35 employers she's contacted have refused to take action against the workers using her number.
It's cheap labor, and they don't care.
Neither do most senators. John Ensign brought Schmierer's case to their attention, and they still approved Social Security benefits for illegal aliens using stolen identities.
The crime of identity theft and Social Security fraud are not victimless crimes. The victims of these crimes are American citizens and legal immigrants.
Casey Wyan, CNN, Dublin, California.
So again, it takes a long time to repair, and it's not easy. Another thing is you want to find out as soon as possible. It's bad enough when one person steals your identity, but by the time she found out, there were over 200 people using her identity, making it almost impossible to repair. Then there's the fastest growing area among identity theft, which is medical identity theft. And what happens to this lady is even crazier.
I was absolutely floored. You just would never imagine in a million years that something could happen like this.
Several months ago, Anne-Marie Sachs got an alarming phone call. Her newborn baby had just tested positive for illegal drugs. Problem is, Andrew hasn't given birth in years.
As much as I denied it, they just kept insisting that, yes, I was the mother of this child. There was nothing that I could say to get out of it.
To make matters worse, authorities showed up at her door the next day, calling her an unfit mother and threatening to take away all 4 of her kids.
When you know you're innocent and you didn't do anything wrong, it just absolutely, I was in tears. I was a wreck.
Turns out, Andrew was the victim of medical ID theft. Someone had stolen her driver's license, walked into a hospital, and had a baby, leaving Andrew with a $10,000 bill and a fight to clear her name.
Do you think it's a big problem?
It's a huge problem.
Chris Dorn is a fraud expert with Ingenix, a company that tracks medical ID theft cases. He says victims have more worries than just fraudulent doctor bills. Your medical records can also be altered, with the crook's information substituted for your own.
Inadvertently, your blood type can be changed, your medications that you're on that can be changed, your underlying medical conditions can be changed.
Which can be life-threatening.
Certainly.
That's a scary thought.
It is.
Right. And another thing, besides the fact that it's so difficult to repair and your credit score doesn't matter, is that when your identity is stolen, it's basically replaced with the criminal's identity. So you end up suffering the consequences they should be suffering until you can actually prove that you're you. Then there's another scary situation, which is driver's license identity theft. Most people are familiar with this, so I won't play a video, but it's gotten a lot more sophisticated because of technology. Criminals can create a license with your information and their picture that looks identical to the state issue one. And then at that point, they can do just about anything they want while you reap the repercussions. And then there's financial identity theft. I won't spend a lot of time here either because of its popularity, but this is basically when someone steals your information and they go out and start opening new credit accounts. It doesn't have to just be credit cards. It can be any type of financial abuse of your identity. And this last video explains why children are also being targeted now. In fact, 3.5 million minor children have already fallen victim to minor children identity theft, and this will explain why.
And this morning on Today Investigates, the new twist on an old crime. Identity thieves now targeting babies. NBC's Jeff Rossen is here with information that parents really need to know. Jeff, good morning.
Yeah, this is an important one, Ann. Good morning to you. I know your kids are in high school now, and so they're a little older for this, but for a lot of us younger parents, the question you have to ask yourself, when was the last time you checked your child's credit report? I know I haven't. I have 2 little girls. And the crooks know it. Now they're so advanced, they can actually steal your baby's social security number before they're even born, racking up millions in debt. This morning, we tracked down the alleged thieves and show you exactly how they do it.
What's funny is
Egan is only 2 years old, but already owes thousands in credit card debt and has declared bankruptcy.
you think this must be a joke, and then you realize, no, this is actually incredibly serious.
9-year-old Riley is in default on utility bills. Her social was stolen 11 years before she was even born.
As a mother, I was shocked and angry and violated.
Katie was only 3 years old when crooks stole her identity. Now, as a teenager, her credit report shows over $750,000 in debt, all at the hands of ID thieves. A scary thought for a young girl.
I think that because it is illegal, like, they should be in jail.
But they're not. In fact, we found 2 men using her identity, living free.
What can parents do if they suspect their children's identities have been stolen?
Right. So if you do that credit check and it comes back that the identity is stolen, really only one thing you can do is immediately put a freeze on your child's credit. So that way it'll prevent any future theft. But it will take years for you to call the credit card companies and the credit bureaus. The burden is on you to prove that your identity has been stolen, and it is a major pain.
It is infuriating.
Yeah.
Jeff Rossen, thank you so much this morning.
Okay, so the theme through all of the videos where it doesn't matter what your credit score is. You can be a victim regardless if your credit is low or high. Once you're a victim, it takes years to repair. And until you can prove you're the criminal. So you'll be treated like one. And So those are the 6 major types of identity theft and the nightmares that follow when trying to repair and restore your identity back to the way it was. It's one thing to kind of get a call about a credit card you know nothing about. It's another thing to go to jail for a crime you didn't commit, or have your social security wiped out, or your children taken from you, or have your children start their life out with a negative credit history. And those type of things are actually happening. And most of the identity theft products aren't going to help you repair your identity. They're just going to monitor your credit file, which usually is going to cost about $15 per month per person. So for a family of 3, that's already about $45 per month just to monitor your credit, just for the smoke alarm, so to speak. So you wouldn't even be protected at that point. As a matter of fact, what type of protection do you currently have? Okay. Well, let me just explain what our product does briefly. It's called the Identity Theft Shield, which is exclusively provided to us by Crow Fraud Solutions Group, the world's leading risk consulting company. And it covers an entire family, which is you, a spouse or significant other, and up to 8 minor children under the age of 18. And the reason our product is so unique and superior to the other products in the industry is because we're not just the monitoring plan or a smoke alarm, so to speak. We would be more like the smoke alarm, the fire department, and the contractor to rebuild your home. So we're going to monitor your identity and completely restore and repair your identity back to the way it was before you were a victim of identity theft. And that's any type. And there's no additional cost other than your monthly membership fee. So with our plan, instead of making hundreds of calls, you make one phone call and speak to a licensed investigator and just literally turn the case over to them. And then they'll handle all the correspondence with all of the Social Security Administration, the Medical Information Bureau, the IRS, the DMV, and so on. And that's no matter how long it takes, no matter what extent it takes. Plus, we'll even cover pre-existing situations. So if you're already a victim of identity theft, or when you do the credit analysis, if you discover that you or any of the covered family members are a victim of identity theft, the restoration is still covered 100%. So the restoration alone puts us ahead of our competition, who mainly monitors credit files, but still we take it further and provide a legal protection plan that'll help you resolve any civil or criminal legal situation during or following your identity theft. Plus, you can use the legal plan whenever you have any type of legal situation, and it's covered 100% under this plan as well. So instead of you paying the average cost of an attorney, which is $284 per hour, which is way too expensive for most people, your legal issues will be covered through a legal plan similar to the way a medical plan or health insurance works, making it a lot more affordable, which is great because in America, it's almost like you're innocent until proven broke. And this legal plan rights that wrong by giving everyone the power to say, you'll speak with my attorney and really mean it. And you don't have to be a criminal or a dishonest person to need an attorney. You can be overcharged on a utility bill or a cell phone bill, taken advantage of by a mechanic, receiving too many telemarketing or collection calls. Those aren't necessarily lawsuits, but they're situations where the advice of an attorney would help you make a better decision. And that's what a legal situation is. The only reason people don't use attorneys more often in these cases is cost. So with this plan, you'll be able to pick up the phone, um, speak with an attorney on an unlimited number of legal issues: child support, divorce, bankruptcy, tax issues. No matter what it's about, you can pick up the phone and speak to a qualified attorney who specializes in the area that you have a question in. And there's never a clock ticking, and you'll never get a bill for it. And you can do this 24/7. It doesn't matter what time it is. It can be 5 a.m. or 5 p.m. Then there's also the letters and phone calls that are made on your behalf whenever you're being treated unfairly. Letters and phone calls don't sound like much, but are extremely powerful when they come from attorneys. Um, there was a guy who was getting collection calls for a wrong number, and an attorney sent the certified letter to the company that was making the collection calls, which entitled the member to $1,000 per call for every call the company made to him after receiving that certified letter. There was another guy who had the carpet put in his home that was starting to bald, and the manufacturer or the contractor refused to assume liability, and this went on for months. Once an attorney from Legal Shield made a couple of calls and sent a couple of letters, the manufacturer came out on site with a representative and then determined that they would reinstall the carpet with one of their contractors with no additional cost. And that's just trying to give you the power of the difference between an attorney handling a situation versus yourself. Because if those members would have never called an attorney, though, if they would have had to pay the average rate of $284 to speak with them and have them send those letters and make the phone calls, more than likely they would have just decided to accept the unfair treatment out of fear that litigation would just be too expensive. But this type of plan gives them the power to use an attorney because those type of things are covered 100% under the plan. And then, of course, motor vehicle services is very popular. You can have an attorney defend you on a speeding ticket or any traffic violation. They'll do whatever they have to do to keep tickets off of your record to keep your insurance premiums low. And this also covers criminal suits like negligent homicides, which can be thousands of dollars in legal fees. And that's also covered 100% under the plan. And I just hit on some of the highlights of the plan, but this plan is going to help you on all the issues you might encounter. An attorney can represent you for a federal tax audit, review contracts or documents up to 15 pages. You get lawsuit defense time if you're ever named as a defendant in a lawsuit. I mean, I can go on and on and on, and there's tons of ways to use this legal plan. Is there anything particular, though, you'd like to know about the coverage that I probably didn't mention? Okay. Well, without a doubt, with the restoration and the legal plan, this is the number one solution in the market. Um, is there any other reason besides affordability that would keep someone like you from purchasing a plan like this? Okay. Well, the price is what actually makes the plan such a no-brainer to me because just the legal plan alone, without the restoration, could easily be worth a few $1,000s per month at the average attorney rate of $284 per hour, but you won't even pay $284 per month. The entire identity theft and legal shield plan is only $29.90 per month, or you can purchase the identity theft plan for $14.95 by itself, or the legal plan for $19.95 by itself. But purchasing them both together drops the price of the identity theft plan down to $9.95 instead of the $14.95, so that you get the entire package for only $29.90, which is the best deal. Which of those makes the most sense for you, though, honestly? Okay, and there's a $10 enrollment fee for the first month. So your first payment is $39.90, and then it'll be $29.90 every month afterwards. Okay, all right. So basically, I'm assuming you want the membership information kits sent to your home address. Is that correct? Okay. So I'm just going to send you a link to a secure page. It'll take about 60 more seconds, and then we're done. And then you can enter the information on that page to start the coverage. All right.